Hi guys, I'm Becky from RjAf.MAKES, and if you've tuned in today you'll be wanting to make this little coin pouch. How stinking cute is this little pouch? So this is a free pattern. The link is in the description below to get the free template and the cutting out and the what you will need. So yeah, there is no instructions. You're going to have to follow this tutorial. Sorry. But you're going to have to put up with me. But yeah, this is so stinking cute. I've used feature fabric, so I've used Tula Pink, Monkey Wrench fabric on both sides. And it's just a nice little coin pouch. And I'll just take this stuff out. And inside is just like a pouch. See, this is ideal. With what's going on in the world at the moment, we can't visit our families at Christmas. Heartbreaking, I know. But we need to give them presents still. It doesn't mean you can't give them presents. So this is ideal. This is so small, so easy to put into the post and send off. They can basically use it for and stuff in to keep sake in their handbags. Me personally, I'm actually making a few of these and putting gift vouchers inside, especially for the teenagers in our family. I don't know what to buy them, so I'm going to make them something small and then put a gift voucher for a store inside the bag. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Becky. Hi. And I run a company called RjAf.MAKES. RjAf.MAKES is Rebecca Jane Alexander Frost, and obviously the makes bit. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to click the subscribe button, and there is a notification bell somewhere here or here, I'm not sure. Click that notification bell, and every time I upload a video you'll be able to watch my lovely face and my tutorials on YouTube and follow along. I try and upload a video whenever I can. At the moment it's averaging about 3 a month, so yeah. And there is free ones and some sew-alongs for my actual bag patterns, which are behind me. Right, so without further ado, let's jump in to making this pouch. So in the description you'll find a link to where to print off this template and cutting out measurements and what you will need. There is no instructions. The instructions are in this video, as explained earlier on. So you're going to print off the PDF, which is 2 pages. And when you print off the PDF, the 1-inch mark here, get your quarters rule and pop that over the 1 inch. Make sure that measures 1 inch. So if it doesn't measure 1 inch, you need to go into your printer settings and basically change the settings to 100% or actual size, and then print out. And then fingers crossed, it is still 1 inch square. You need that definitely to be 1 inch square, for when you cut this out it matches up the other measurements from the gusset. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is cut this out, and you're going to cut this out on the outer black line. So the next thing you're going to do is cut out your main body piece. You'll need your 2 main outer fabrics, your 2 lining fabrics, you'll need 4 interfacing pieces and 2 fusible fleece. So the fusible fleece that I'm using is Visaline H640, and the interfacing that I'm using is G700, which is by Visaline as well. So the other things that you're going to need, and they've got measurements on these ones. So you'll need a top zip gusset, you'll need 2 main outer fabrics, you'll need 2 lining fabrics, 2 fusible fleece and 4 interfacing, and that needs to measure 1 inch wide by 6.5 inches long. Okay, and then you'll need the base gusset, which you'll need one outer fabric piece, one lining fabric piece, one fusible fleece and two interfacing pieces. And then you'll need to cut that at 1.5 inches wide and 10.5 inches long. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that, cut out my pieces, and I've also got my 8-inch zip. I've used a number 3 zip and I've got one pull on it. So my two main outer pieces, I'm using this Tula Pink for my main body piece. On the reverse side I have interfaced both pieces and fused that on with the iron, and I've also done the same with the fusible fleece. And then I've got my two pieces of lining, and on both of those I've got just interfacing on the back of those. Then I have my top zip gusset, and this is got interfacing on the back and fusible fleece on both of those. And then that's my two main outer pieces, sorry. And then my two lining pieces, I've got just interfacing on the back of these. And then that's the same with my my base gusset. My base gusset main outer piece, I have fused interfacing and fusible fleece onto the reverse side, the wrong side. And then on the lining piece, all I've got is my interfacing. So the first thing we're going to do is actually make the gusset of the bag. So we're just going to pop the main body pieces to one side and the bottom gusset piece for now. We're going to make the zip closure part first. So my zip is actually bigger than what we actually need, but I like to make sure my pull is totally off, totally out of the way when I'm sewing this on. So I'm going to use quilter's tape, and I'm just going to pop that along the zip edge tape. So I've got my zip right side facing up on my work surface. And I'm just going to peel off that backing. And I'm going to get one of the main outer pieces, which has got my fusible fleece attached to it. And I'm going to stick that right side facing down onto the zip. So that's right side of the zip to the right side of the zip top gusset piece, and stick that into place. And basically it should match up. There is no overhang. I'm just going to pop a clip on here and here, just so it helps me identify where that zip coil is. I've basically put the clip as close to the zip coil as possible. I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm just going to go to my sewing machine and sew 1/4 inch away from the edge here to base stitch that into place. So I'm just going to explain what's going on with my machine. So I have my walking foot on, and I will leave that on for the majority of the sew along. I have a size 90-14 needle within my universal 90-14 needle on my machine. I'm also the thread that I'm using is Gutermann Sew All thread, and I'm going to be using on this part a stitch length 2.4. As you can see, I've sewn this into place using 1/4 inch seam allowance. What I'm going to do is go over to my iron and press this open like so, and give that a really good press open. Okay, so I've now pressed that open. What I'm going to do is top stitch 1/8 of an inch away from this folded edge using a stitch length number 3 on my sewing machine. Okay, as you can see, I've top stitched along that edge there and have a nice finish on the back. So what I'm going to do now is repeat the same process on this side, but what we need it to do is match up with the other pieces here. So I'm going to run some quilter's tape along that edge, right side facing up, peel off the backing tape, and then I'm going to make sure this edge is in line with this edge here, but making sure it matches up on this edge here as well. So I know that's in line there. So I'm just going to stick that into place. Like so. Like before, I'm going to stitch on this side 1/4 of an inch away from this edge using a stitch length 2.4 on my sewing machine. Okay, so I've stitched that into place and I've given it a good press. So once again, I'm just going to go to my sewing machine, top stitch along here, 1/8 of an inch away, and we're using a stitch length number 3. Okay, so I've top stitched both of those now. What we need to do is trim off the zip, but first of all we need to make sure the zip pulls in the centre. Going to use my paper scissors because I don't mind blunting these. I'm just going to trim the zip back to where the panels start. Like so. Because I'm using a nylon zip, the next step is fine. If you use a metal zip, my advice is just do not use metal zips. Use nylon zips. I'm going to stitch across here about 1/8 of an inch away, and then same with here, 1/8 of an inch away. It just means that I can not pull the zip pull off. So I'm going to go and do that over my sewing machine. Okay, so I've stitched just over the zip so the zip pull can't come off. Now, if you get your main outer piece, that is 1.5 inches wide. You will find that your zipper part is wider. So we need to trim back 1/8 of an inch on both sides. So I'm just going to quickly do that on camera. So my fleece is overhanging here. I'm not going to measure it from there. I'm going to measure it actually from where the fabric is. So that's 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to use my rotary cutter and cut that off. Okay. And the same for the other side as well. Right, so now we've trimmed those, we're going to pull the zip pull into the centre. We're going to get the main outer bottom base gusset, flip that over. So it's right side to right side, and match up this end and clip. And I'm going to do the same with this end. So I'm going to bring this short end over to this short end and clip that into place. So now we are going to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and we are going to sew these two here at 3/8 of an inch. We're going to reverse our stitch, and then while I'm on the camera over by the sewing machine, I'm going to show you how I top stitch as well. So here, when I'm sewing these two together, to start off with, I'm using a stitch length of 2.4. And then when I go to top stitching, which you will see in the video footage, I'm moving my stitch length to a number 3. Okay, so I've stitched those together, and I've top stitched, and I've top stitched 1/8 of an inch approximately away. What I'm going to do is, there's still quite a bit of seam here, so I'm going to trim that back by half, so it's marginal now, and the same on this side. Okay, and then just flip that out. Okay, so just double make sure that your zip is actually working. Okay, so I'm going to flip that back so it's wrong side facing out, and I'm going to match up those two where the two base gusset seams start. And what we're going to do is mark our centre top, centre bottom. So I'm just going to get a pair of little snips and snip in just slightly on there, and there. And I'm just going to do the base part as well. Okay, so we're going to grab one of the main outer pieces, the one that's got the fusible foam. So this is the main body piece. We're going to fold this in half, and we're going to snip top and bottom. Same with this one. Then I'm going to unfold that, bring those two marks together and clip into these. What we're doing is finding the quarter of the circles, the quarters of the circle. Okay. Right, so my monkey I want facing up. So this is going to be the top half of my my circle, my main body piece. So I'm going to match up this centre mark, because this is my zip part, to that first top mark, and I'm going to clip that into place. Then I'm going to twist it all around and match up the centre bottom of the main body and the centre bottom of the main gusset, right sides together. Now it's going to be a slight tight fit at the start, but with cutting notches into it, it will fit. Oops. Okay. So I find opening up the zip helps for this part, and we're going to snip just slightly into the seam allowance of the gusset all the way around, And I'm going to do that every 3/8 of an inch. I'm just going to do it to where that first clip is at the bottom. Okay. Now it means that we can stretch it. So as you can see, these notches are slightly opening up. It means we can stretch it going around the curve. So I'm just going to get my clips and start clipping this side, stretching those notches open. Like so. And as you notice, I'm putting quite a lot of clips in. And by cutting those notches, it means that the whole gusset fits perfectly to the main body piece. Okay. And now I'm just going to repeat the snips again on this side of the gusset and do the clips on this side. So I'm going to speed this bit up. Right, so there was quite a lot of clips on because it's a complete circle. What we're going to do is go to our sewing machine using a short stitch length. I'm going to use a stitch length number 2, and I'm going to sew all the way around 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, and I'm going to keep my walking foot on. But when it comes to where the zip pull is, I might have to just adjust, close it up a bit and sew, and then reopen it up. You will find leaving this zip open for majority of it, of sewing all the way around, will be easier. Okay, so I've sewn all the way around. What we're going to do now is just trim back the excess, and we're going to trim it back by half. Just be careful not to trim anywhere in your sewn line. Just getting rid of some of that bulk. Okay, so I've done that. We're going to repeat the complete same process. So we're going to open up this zip again. And we're going to complete the same process with the main outer back panel piece. So I'm going to find the centre top and centre bottom. So this is my top. So I'm just going to find the centre top and centre bottom and snip into those. And then I'm going to find the two edges, the 2/4, the other 2/4, shall I say. Okay, so we've got the centre top and the centre bottom of the gusset. We're going to pop this right side facing down, and once again, and we're going to match up the centre tops, right sides together. That's it, and then I'm going to twist it around, find the centre bottom and the centre bottom of the gusset, right sides, and then repeating the same process as before, snip into the gusset and clip the gusset to the main outer bag piece. So I'm just going to do that, speeding up the footage now. Okay, so I've now got the clips all the way around. I'm going to repeat the same process, go to my sewing machine, use 1/4 inch seam allowance, using my walking foot and a stitch length number 2, and I'm going to stitch all the way around. Now, because we've now got this, we're going to have to squash this down as we sew it along, and you'll see me do this on the footage from the sewing machine. So I've sewn that all the way around. Same process, we need to trim back this seam allowance, and we're trimming it back by half. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is just turn this right side facing out. Doesn't matter what it looks like at the moment, because we are going to do a bit of ironing at the end to give it a really good press and set the seams basically. But what we need to just make sure is all the seam, when we're sewing it together, there is no miss parts. So I'm just basically pulling it apart and just making sure the edges have caught. Okay, that's fine. So I'm just going to turn this wrong side facing out again and pop this to one side. So I'm going to pop that to one side. We're now going to work with the lining. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get the 2 top zip gusset lining pieces. And what we're going to do is go to our iron and we're going to press the lining in by 1/4 inch on the long side, and we're going to do that for both pieces. Okay, so I've now gone ahead and pressed both of those, so the 1/4 inch is folded in. We're going to get the base lining gusset, and I'm going to go over to my clips because I find clips a lot better than my pins a lot better than clips when I'm making the lining. So I'm going to pop this top gusset right side facing down, and I'm going to match up the edges here and pin that into place like so. Then I'm going to get the other lining gusset, and as you can see the two folded over edges are in the center, and I'm going to match that up to that part there, and that's right sides facing each other, and I'm going to pin that into place. Just move my pin to there. Okay, then I'm going to bring this part of the gusset to match up with these two parts of the gusset. Once again, I'm going to pin that into place, both of those pieces. Same with that one as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew 1/8 inch away from this edge, reversing my stitches at the start and at the end. I'm going to do it the same with this one, and then while I'm at the sewing machine, like I did before on the gusset, the outer gusset, I'm going to show you how I top stitch that as well, and I'll be top stitching 1/8 inch away and at a stitch length 3. So first of all, use stitch length number 2.4, and we're sewing 3/8 inch away from both of these edges. Okay, as you can see, I've stitched those together and top stitched those. Like before, we're going to find the centres, so we're going to match up those two pieces there, those two seams. We're going to find the centre of this side, and the centre of this side, and the centre bottom on both sides. Right, so grabbing one of your main body pieces but the lining, we're going to find the centre top and centre bottom and snip into those, and then we're going to reopen that up, bring those two centre marks together and find the other quarter pieces and snip it into those. Okay. Then, just like before, but this time I'm going to use pins. I'm going to match up the zip gusset part to the top and pin that into place. Flip it round, find the centre bottoms and match those up. And then like before, I'm going to snip it into the gusset seam allowance and then pin it to this. So I'm going to speed up the footage again. So we've got all the pins in. It looks a bit dangerous at the moment because of all the pins, but we're going to go to the sewing machine, and so 1/4 inch away all the way around, reversing our stitch, and I'm going to drop my stitch length down back to a number 2. However, when your needle from your sewing machine gets quite close to the pin, take that out, because or else you'll break your needle. As you can see, that's stitched all the way around. I'm now going to just add something to this. So I'm going to find the centre top and centre bottom and the two sides. So step into that, and same with this other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to just add in a few extra elements to mine. I'm going to add ta-da, and then I'm just going to add my logo into the centre. So I'm just going to pop over to the machine, base stitch that into place, and then just do a few tack stitches top and bottom and put that into place. Okay, so I've base stitched that one into place and sewn just down the two sides there. Like before, you're going to find the centre top and centre bottom, and you're going to pin it all into place. So we're going to match up the centre tops first, right sides together, and pin. Same with the bottom. And pin. And same as before, snip it into the gusset and pin into place. Okay, so like we did before, so 1/4 inch all the way around, using a stitch length number 2 on your sewing machine, and make sure when your needle gets close to these pins, take those pins out. I've gone ahead and turned that right side facing out. Looks a bit like an Oreo. One mistake that I did make is don't do what I did. I put the label on the wrong way, so rewind back the footage and twist it round. But I'm not unpicking it. It's a gift for someone anyway. Right, so you're going to get your main outer body piece and your lining piece. Keep your lining pointing right side facing out, and your main outer body pieces outer bag wrong side facing out. What we're going to do is fold that up and pop that inside here, like so. Get your fingers in and feed it through so it's kind of nice and neat. So the plan is, where this zip gusset on the lining is, it should start at the end of the zip here, and on this side as well. We will readjust this as we go. So you see this sewn line here on the actual, on the actual zip, we want this zip gusset lining piece to go up to that actual sewn line, and we're going to pin it into place. Now I don't like pinning, but you can do. I'm just going to clip and keep doing that for this one side. Just move that around a bit, and my zip ends here inside, so I'm on the right track for this. And one more clip. Okay, so I know some of you are going to groan at this, but you need to hand stitch that bit into place now. So you're going to get a needle. I'm going to use a bigger one. This one. No. This one. Yeah. Right, so you're going to get a sewing needle, hand sewing needle. And you're going to get some matching thread to the lining. And I'm going to try and thread this on first time. Right, okay, so I'm keeping it single piece. I'm just going to knot the end. Just do it as a small knot. Okay, and then I'm going to start off at this side. I'm going to take my needle through to that lining, so I've gone from the wrong side, and I'm just going to try and get rid of that knot hidden. Okay, so I'm just basically feeding my needle through to there. and just picking up a little bit of the zip, and then going back in to my lining. Like so. Just small little, it's marginal what I'm picking up. Take the clips or pins out as you go along. And you're going to do that all the way across. I'm going to speed up the footage and zoom in a bit. Now I'm just going to repeat the clips on this side. So I'm going to match up the lining to the sewn line and pop some clips in. And then I'm just going to do the same sew on this side. Okay, so you should have it sewn into place. We're just going to turn this right side facing out. Poking out the corners or the round edges. Okay, then you're going to find something that you can stuff this with. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've stuffed mine out. What I'm going to do now is just go to the iron and set all these seams. As you can see, this gusset here is so small, you need to set it. So we're just going to go over to the iron and give this a really good press and set. Okay, so I've given that a really good press and it's now got its shape, and the gusset has now got a perfect shape. And if you open it up, obviously I've got cloth in mine still, but the lining, let's take that cloth out. It's just perfect, like so. So how many of you are going to make these for Christmas presents? That's just so cute. So if you've liked this video, once again, please give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And there will be more free patterns coming soon and free downloads. Like to see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.